Well, everybody. Welcome. It's another day. Hope you guys had a good weekend.
Happy Monday.
A lot happened over the weekend. I mean, a lot. And we are going to be covering. And so today we have a special, before I go any further, we have a special guest. If you have not been on TikTok, you might want to join. But the individual we have today goes by the name of EK. You won't be able to pronounce his whole name. We're going to call him EK. And he has a really good platform on TikTok. Very knowledgeable, lightly spoken. He does not go off on the tangents like most of us do. He doesn't scream. He doesn't raise his voice. Unity through strength. No, I'm just kidding. No,
no, it's strength through joy. Come on,
sorry,
that's what it is. Yeah,
he doesn't go off like
he don't go off like me.
Yeah, I ain't pointing no fingers. You know?
Okay. So he's our guest today. I have been wanting EK on the program for a while now, and I figured this would be the best topic for it, and it would just so happen that he was available today. So it works out. Welcome, Mr. EK. Glad to have you on here.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to be discussing the recent endorsement of President Trump by RFK. However, he isn't the only one that over the weekend endorsed President Trump.
Nope.
But he's one of the big ones because of what it entails and what it means for him to be joining. The other two that have recently joined the bandwagon is Tulsi Gabbard and Cornel West. Now, Cornel West is one of the more, I would have never seen that come in person ever. Like, no way you couldn't convince me of that happening at all. Now, if you lose a pro-blackity black dude like Cornel West to Donald Trump, you're in trouble. Like, you are definitely in trouble. So we're going to watch Mr. RFK's endorsement speech, as well as Kamala, as well as Tulsi. And we'll have a discussion about what exactly it means with his particular endorsements. Those are the two people we're really talking about, is RFK and Mr. Trump. So listen up.
I want everyone to know that I am not terminating my campaign. I am simply suspending it and not ending it. My name will remain on the ballot in most states. If you live in a blue state, you can vote for me without harming or helping President Trump or Vice President Harris. In red states, the same will apply. I encourage you to vote for me. And if enough of you do vote for me, and neither of the major party candidates win 270 votes, which is quite possible. In fact, today our polling shows them tying at 269 to 269. And I could conceivably still end up in the White House in a contingent election. 3 great causes drove me to enter this race in the first place, primarily. And these are the principal causes that persuaded me to leave the Democratic Party and run as an independent. And now to throw my support to President Trump. President Trump says that he will reopen negotiations with President Putin and end the war overnight as soon as he becomes president. This alone would justify my support for his campaign. Last summer, it looked like no candidate was willing to negotiate a quick end to the Ukraine war, to tackle chronic disease epidemic, to protect free speech, our constitutional freedoms, to clean corporate influence out of our government, or to defy the neocons and their agenda of endless military adventurism. But now one of the two candidates has adopted these issues as his own, to the point where he has asked to enlist me in his administration.
Thanks for watching.
Now, break it down for me. What do you fellas think about this? What exactly do you think is going to come of this? Don't be afraid to jump all in at one time.
Well, I didn't want to be the first one to speak, so I usually am the first one to jump at the go. So I wanted to give the chance.
No, go ahead.
But anyway, this is what I think is going to happen. Like I said over the weekend on Rumble, it's a 5-head move. He's coming off of the ballots in key swing states where he would have drawn it away from Trump, which means that it's just going to be a head-to-head between Kamala Harris and Trump in the swing states, which are going to be very important. But in the states that he was probably going to lose anyway, which is the blue states, in those states he was still on the ballot, he's still going to be there, which means they have a choice between Kamala Harris, him, and then Trump. And more than likely, the people in those blue states aren't going to vote for Trump, but they at least have an option between Kamala Harris and RFK, which is going to be more than likely the RFK vote. If he gets at least 5% in this election, then it opens up more third-party options in the future elections. One of the big things that's coming out of this is that they're hoping that he gets 5% so they can use the Unity Party ticket next time in the next election. That's going to be the big deal.
Beautiful.
EK?
Yeah, I think that the Tulsi Gabbard, but primarily the Kennedy endorsement is actually going to be, it may be actually a game changer. Again, I mean, I think he was polling at last 5 or 6%, something like that. But if the election is in fact as tight as they say it's going to be, that if he pulls, 2% or 3% from Kennedy and it tends to go to Trump, that might be decisive in those battleground states like Pennsylvania. In Michigan. I don't think Wisconsin or Minnesota or any of those. I think those are going to go to Harris. But I think Michigan is up for grab and definitely Pennsylvania. And if Trump wins Pennsylvania, I think it's over. The other states, Georgia, he's going to win. I believe he'll win in Arizona and Nevada also.
Yeah,
I agree.
Lee?
I mean, just on the basis of the fact that Trump and RFK has a unified vision regarding, certain issues that RFK holds important, like free speech and the deflation of our 3-letter agencies and bureaucracies, and making sure that spending is kept under wraps. I think the fact that him and Trump see eye to eye on that is a good thing. And for him to say that he had the conversation with Trump about these issues and Trump was like on board with it, but then also at the same time, like the fact that Kamala never met with the guy. And so it was like, well, if you're not going to meet with me, then I'll go to the guy who will, which is reminiscent of Ice Cube and how Ice Cube was just like, I got this plan. Yeah, Democrats, what do you think? And they're all like, right. And then Ice Cube goes, okay, well, fine. Trump, what do you think? And Trump goes, let's make it happen.
And that speaks to Trump a lot because he's actually willing to listen to the other side, which they are not. Like, if you're not a part of the party, you're not a part of the club, then you can't be speaking here.
Which is crazy because when Ice Cube did what he did, Ice Cube's not a Trump fan, though.
No.
So when he said opened the door for his platinum plan to be, brought to attention, and not to deter away from RFK, because I mean I just find it reminiscent of how the Democrats act and how Trump is. And we're seeing this play out with RFK, and when RFK went to Trump, it's like that's what happened to Ice Cube, and you lost out, Dems. So,
Bro,
yeah, I love it because I think this is the slow destruction of the 2-party system. If everything works out the way it's supposed to work out, and this kind of kills, the mainstream media and the left's propaganda about them saying Trump's going to be a dictator, because Trump is reaching across party lines and he's getting people that lean left to join his party. So now when the Democrats look at it, they know that Trump has allies that are leftists that can help push some of the policies that they want. So overall, I think we'll see the 2-party system go away, which I think a lot of Americans want. We're tired of these 2 parties, Republican and Democrat. Create one system. People run under that party, whatever you want to call it, and there's no more of this left and right. It's just, what do you stand for, and cast your vote.
Yeah, the thing that entices me most is the possibility of him being put over the very agency that ruined his family legacy and line. I think that would be, if it's true. Now, so far, it's more of a theory, a possibility, a hope, a wing and a prayer. But I also would not. Now, this is why I think it will happen, because Trump is petty.
Yeah,
okay?
I would do it.
And Trump is super, super, super petty. Besides that, they took out his best friend. Let's not forget that him and JFK were like, JFK Jr. were super, super close, real tight. They did everything together. So the fact that now he has a family member who's running in the political race that could possibly be put over the one agency that has all the secrets as to what took place. Look, if it does happen, I think we'll be watching a whole lot more media with popcorn in hand and watching it just completely just absolutely blow
The
up.
media, the media should want that to happen, because can you imagine the ratings of RFK running the CIA and dumping all of those documents? Like, it would be a bonanza.
Yeah,
They won't cover it.
And here's one reason why they won't cover it. For Coy's point, and I agree that they should, but the reason they won't is they would lose all credibility, because you'd have to look at it like this: all these years this happened, and you knew about it. The media that's been feeding us all this information is propaganda. How do we know what you guys been saying about Trump or anything else to be true? If you lied about this, told us it was some Oswald guy, kind of like Crook, that sat up in a book depository and took out the president of the United States. It was a lie. If it comes out and shows it is, which we know the truth. So the media will lose all credibility, all of it, be out the window.
Alan Dulles is the one responsible for JFK's assassination. He was the director of the CIA. He's also the one responsible for basically everything that went wrong between World War I and World War II. You can trace it back to that guy. Like, he was the one responsible for the Treaty of Versailles, which led to the rise of Germany, which led to the rise of World War II. That guy is the reason the world sucks. And nobody knows it. They still, that's a whole thing.
Let's listen to what Tulsi had to say.
So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief.
I would love to see her as the United States Secretary of Defense.
Yeah,
and or at least the State Department.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Can she be the Secretary of Defense? What is the requirements for that position?
It's a civilian position. Anybody could be Secretary of Defense, which they have been. So she would make more sense.
And on Marlon's point, that it's a good thing, because she is someone who served in a recent conflict. I mean, served. Like, not somebody that was just over there, somebody that was actually, doing their job over there, as a medic, helping service members that were wounded. So for her to be in that position and know the impact of these foreign wars is a really, really good move if they give her that position.
Even if she doesn't get that, and they gave her a position over the VA, that would also work for me, because she also understands the needs of military vets.
Secretary of State is the only thing that I would really accept with her being in. Like, not because like that, because I think she would do a great job as being Secretary of State. I think she would be miles above Hillary Clinton, and it would be hilarious to have to like see Hillary react to her being Secretary of State.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, because the State Department needs a whole new revamping anyway. They need to throw everybody out of there and start anew.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, one thing that's going to be is ironic is the Democrats always talk about, oh, we're a big tent, we're a big tent. And it seems like Trump is the one that's bringing people who were against him at one point into his fold now. I mean, he's even made up with Kemp down in Georgia, thank God, and a bunch of other people. I mean, even J.D. Vance. I mean, J.D. Vance had a lot of bad stuff to say about him before he was president in 2016.
Yep.
And Trump has swallowed that stuff. And as Mr. Brown said, we know he's petty, but hopefully he's realizing that you need these people. So hopefully.
Well, that's probably why they're joining, because they know he can be petty. Look, I would much rather be on his side than on his petty side.
Exactly.
Because if I know that you can do whatever you say you're gonna do, and you have a chip on your shoulder, and I'm part of that chip, nah, I'm good. I'm good with you now, man. Just leave me out of your payback plan, and we'll be fine. But besides that, look who they have to go to the opposite. I'm there. Okay, so they're in their mind. Suppose they were just a shade off to the left as a Democrat. They're working with people in their party who are not a shade. We're talking about 15 football fields to the left.
Right.
Yep.
So if you decide to yourself, all right, so hold on, we have two candidates. We have this guy over here, Trump. I didn't like him, but then we have this thing over here called Miss Harris, and she's trying to ruin not just anything but everything. I think I guess it comes back to people that think the lesser of two evils necessarily, but at the same time, one is blatantly in your face, and one you can at least manipulate a little bit to work with you. There's some wiggle room. The other side, there is no wiggle room when they're in. None.
And you got experience with one of them. One of them, you have experience. You know what has happened. Miss Harris is you have no idea. And the people in the know, in the Beltway, they know who she is. They know how far left she was. How do you become left of Bernie Sanders? How do you do that?
That's true. And wouldn't you agree that Donald Trump he aligns more with RFK and Tulsi, even though he's on the right?
Yeah,
I would say ideologically, damn, messed that word up. But ideology, their way of their politicking. Would you think that they all kind of line up the same a little bit, even though Trump leans right and Tulsi leans left and RFK leans left? I think they're more centrist.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're populists.
Yeah,
he's put it this way: he's closer to a Joe Manchin than he is to a far right guy.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's two things, like back to what Marlon was talking about with the intel people, is that's why they've been saying that they're going to have to flee the country if Donald Trump wins, is because they know he's petty and that they did a lot of bad things to him, and he's going to have the receipts, and they're going to have to do something about it.
And they're fleeing the country because Trump's not lying when he said he's going after the deep state. Anybody who says, politician, celebrity, whoever they are, who says, if Donald Trump gets elected, I'm fleeing the country. What are you running from?
Yeah.
What are you running from?
And
you're running from something, and you have something to hide. So you want to get out the country because you know he's coming. And the ones that are aligning with him have nothing to do with it. Whatever you guys are doing, that's crazy. Because knowing Trump, he wouldn't even allow them with him. If they had dirt, if he had dirt on them, Tulsi, RFK, Vivek, all Elon, all of those people that are aligning with Trump now, if he had dirt on them, he would not have anything to do with them.
Right. And I think they're going to flee to Canada and Europe, like Germany and France specifically.
Yeah. Well, Tom Hanks already did that with him running away and getting citizenship to Greece.
Yeah. So. The other thing is that I think is happening is that we're in real time. We're seeing an actual party shift, or at least a switch happen. I think that because the neocon Republicans are dead, and they all jump ship to the Democrats.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So we're actually seeing a real party shift happen, and then we're also seeing moderates go to what Trump's Republican Party is now. Like that's what the old school Republicans are gone. Yeah, everybody that's in there now is new populists and centrists.
That is very true.
He had a sit down, and it's a little long. I'm going to try and skip ahead to what's going to be. But he had a sit down with this lady, and he'd said some things that I think should give the left a bit of a worrying phase to go through, because he's not unlike Trump, where he's going to be petty as well, because think about what they did to him. I think this is also why he saw a link in Trump. The same people that kicked him from the party are the same people that went after Trump. And so he has this, I wouldn't call it a vendetta, but he does have something to prove to these people. Even his own family, just like with Trump, when it wasn't his niece that said something ill about him.
Yep.
Ironically, it's his uncle's grandson that came out to say something. We'll get to that fool in a bit here, but it's always the one that nobody talks about. The family is like the black sheep of the family. You're out there just doing your own thing, and you feel like you use your 15 minutes of fame to lambaste your family members, and those are kinds of people, they're just weird. So let me hear what he has to say here.
Is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Shannon, thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get this out of the way up front. You and President Trump not always fans of each other. He posted on social media earlier this year, he's one of the most liberal lunatics ever to run for office.
Now, if you recognize, mind you, this is Fox, right?
Yeah.
The reason why most people anymore don't watch Fox is because they are no different than CNN. You have a guest. You have a guest on. You know what his current stance is. All you have to do is, what changed your mind? That's all you had to ask the man is what changed your mind.
Yeah.
You weren't a fan. What changed your mind? You go to bring up something in order to try and get an emotional response from the man. And this is why nobody will listen to you fools.
Well,
Nobody cares about what you got to say no more.
Yeah, the thing with Fox and between all the mainstream media I've discovered is you have CNN, the left wing mainstream media, pundits and talking heads who lie by commission, and then you have Fox, which we consider to be controlled opposition, to be liars of omission. Sure. So either way, whether or not you're getting lied to by both sides, by the entire spectrum. So.
A phony radical left fool whose poll numbers are terrible and getting worse. The New Yorker said just a couple of weeks ago this in a recent text exchange. Kennedy told one person that Trump was a terrible human being, the worst president ever and barely human. He is probably a sociopath. Now, I haven't read your text, so you can speak to that. But how did you get from that position to Friday night?
Well, it became clear to me that I did not have a path to victory. 16 months of censorship, of not being able to get on any network really except for Fox. And I had, in fact, when Ross Perot ran, in the 10 months that he ran, he had 34 appearances on the networks. I had 2 appearances in 16 months. So I was blocked out from the networks. I was blocked out from the debate. I had no path to victory. President Trump had been reaching out to me, and I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt, and we had a long conversation by phone. I then had 2 extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broader issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree. But these issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
He's not wrong with that.
I agree.
Here's one of the things, like with her bringing that whole thing up, is like, who of us hasn't talked crap about somebody we were an opponent to? Like just somebody you're being competitive with. You're always talking nonsense,
right?
Like it's not surprising me. So them to think that these old men who are competitive with each other wouldn't talk crap is ridiculous.
Stallone and Schwarzenegger do it all the time.
Yeah.
and when she asked him that question, what type of reaction was she expecting?
Yeah.
What was she expecting him to say? Like, yeah, you're right, and I still think that I'm only doing this for politics, and I can't stand the man. No, he's a politician. Yeah. He knew exactly how to carry himself. He probably knew that question was coming, and he was prepared for it. She was looking for a different reaction, and she didn't get it. And good on him for keeping his composure.
Yeah. Did you notice the handshake difference between those two and when Trump normally shakes somebody's hand?
Yep.
Yeah.
The pull in.
He didn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he sees him as an equal. That's why.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, as you stated earlier, Marlon, he's known the family for years. He knew Robert. You know what I mean? They just are on a different side. Trump has been a Democrat his whole life, so they were probably real cool outside of their political views.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of respect for him.
It's a good unifying theme that I think a lot of people could get around. It's how we get there. That's always the devil is in the details. Have you all negotiated over or talked about a cabinet position, another position within a Trump government in exchange for your endorsement?
No, there's been no commitments. But I met with President Trump, with his family, with his closer advisors, and we just made a general commitment that we were going to work together.
What about the states where you're trying to get off of a number of swing state ballots to say, I'm going to stay on a number of state ballots, but in these swing states, I'm going to try to withdraw myself and ask my supporters, or at least you're telling them, think about supporting President Trump. Did you negotiate over which states you would try to withdraw from?
Yeah, we all knew which states they were. There basically is 10 swing states where my presence in the race would have helped Vice President Harris. and would have harmed President Trump. So I'm going to get off the ballot in those states, and then we're going to stay on the ballot in 30 states. And, I'm encouraging people to vote for me in those states. Those are states where the votes, they're either all red or all blue states where their votes are not going to change the outcome of the race. But in the states where I would have been a spoiler, I'm going to get out. So it's about 10 states.
Now, let's talk about that strategy real quick, okay? That is people might see that as a low down, dirty tactic to try and split the votes away from Kamala, but he does not have to have Kamala's interest at heart.
Nope.
He can pick and choose the same way we can pick and choose if we vote or who we vote for.
Right.
He has the right to decide if he's going to help one or the other, considering he's not going to. Consider him a tiebreaker vote.
Yeah.
It's a tiebreaker vote.
Here's the thing: is they're playing the procedural game just like the Democrats did last time with mail-in voting. You can't argue they're cheating if you've done the exact same thing. If he's playing within the boundaries of the game,
Only they're allowed to do that, Coy.
Right.
I know, right?
Now he said, this is what I think. This is where he played a little strategy here. Not he wasn't 100%, even though he said it so blatantly and said so quick. No, I do believe they spoke about it, but what I think they talked about was we'll wait to see if we win for us to fully break apart a cabinet spot. And I look, I'm good with that, because otherwise it'd be almost like a you can call it a quid pro quo, kind of, because technically they're not on the same playing field, different candidacy, different election run that they're doing. I would much rather him run under the guise of not having a position and helping Trump than helping Trump because he has a position.
Right. But anybody who thinks that this is something outside of the norm is stupid, because every primary is like this, where the people that were running drop out to endorse them and then they put them in the cabinet. Look at Pete Buttigieg, for instance. Like, you don't think he endorsed Biden because he got a spot? Come on.
Yeah. Well, look at what happened in 2020, right?
Yeah.
Everybody dropped out and supported Biden.
Yep.
They threw their vote behind him. So it's no different. You gonna say something, EK?
Yeah, it's actually said without being said. It's a wink and a smile. I don't want to say. I don't even know. Why make you a liar if I don't have to when you're being interviewed and they asked you about it? We know what's going on. So, he could say it with his chest out that no, we didn't talk about a specific cabinet, even though he knows that if Trump wins, they're going to have definitely something for him up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So there were reports.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the only thing that really upsets about me with this is that I wish he would have dropped out earlier, so he could have actually been a Trump Kennedy ticket instead of Trump advance.
Like, I wouldn't want that, though. I wouldn't want that.
I don't know. That's just me personally. That's what I would have liked.
No. I prefer to having a straight Republican ticket for the president and vice president. And I think it's good that he waited this long, because you saw a whole lot more people come out of their fake self and show their real self because he waited this long.
Okay.
Yep.
Just personal opinion.
And I appreciate the fact that now people know exactly how they would treat somebody who disagrees with the Democrats. Every time you disagree with them, what you get is a smear campaign. So, Lee sent us a poisoning well definition, and the description is to commit to a preemptive ad hominem attack against an opponent. That is, to prime the audience with adverse information about the opponent from the start in an attempt to make your claim more acceptable or discount the credibility of your opponent's claims. And that's exactly what they did to RFK.
Yep.
From the very beginning.
Yep.
They do it to Trump all the
weeks
time.
ago, citing an official from your camp and also a Democratic official saying that there'd been outreach to the Harris camp as well to possibly discuss you working within the Harris administration in exchange for an endorsement of her. Is that true? And what happened with that?
I reached out to them on the same basis that I reached out to President Trump, and we actually talked to other presidential candidates, including Chase Oliver and the Libertarian Party, about figuring out ways that we could end the polarization and the hatred and the vitriol, start talking about issues. And I was welcome to listen to anything from the Democrats that they were going to do something about the war, about the Ukraine war, about the censorship, about the child health crisis, this epidemic of chronic disease that has now disabled about 60% of our kids. And, when my uncle was President Shannon, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, over 60% do. And, it's hard to find a kid today that's not been damaged by it. And it's coming from our food supply, from pollution in our environment, from toxics in our environment, and mainly from corruption in our government that allows that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He is not wrong. I want to answer this question real quick. Yes, it's been used already. Kamala did it. Kamala did it by trying to alter the search results on Google. That's an AI interference.
Yep.
And that is part of the system. Now, what as part of the actual machines during yes, like I said, it did. And if you look at it, it did in 2020. It 100% did. Of course, you can't tell nobody that because
and on that, Marlon, go back and watch our episode from Saturday where we actually talked about the possibilities, voting, the possibilities of it. So it's on Rumble. If you go back and watch it, we actually have some really good clips in there, some really good information in there on what to do if you suspect that there's some type of voter interference, election interference going on at your polling stations. So check it out.
Yeah. So one of the things about the AI issue is that Trump's really headstrong on actually dominating the space, because just like the rush to nuclear weapons, AI is the next nuclear bomb. The person that controls and dominates the AI space is the one that's going to control the world.
Elon
Musk. Right.
You've talked about, or there's been discussion that if you were to join the Trump administration in some health-related position, that you have real interest in dismantling things like the FDA, the CDC, NIH. You would like to see focus away from infectious diseases to what you're talking about, more chronic diseases. Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus, and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies. That is a perverse incentive. In NIH, scientists and officials in NIH who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from those products. These are regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. The most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody's making money. The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA, out of NIH, out of the CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
Now, anybody who might say that he shouldn't be talking on that, go tell your boy Bill Gates the same thing. He ain't a doctor neither.
There's a thing that everybody likes, especially on the left, like to do, where like they talk about the separation of church and state, but we should really be talking about the separation of corporation and state. That's church has nothing to do with anything anymore. Church used to have power, it doesn't have power anymore. But the thing that has power now that is involved in things is the corporation, which we need to remove itself from. Like the state and corporations should never be in business with each other, should never even have contact with each other other than regulation. That is it.
Yeah, and I agree with Robert on the purpose of these health organizations. It's to heal people. You got to understand, if people weren't getting better and if the society wasn't healed from any ailment that they have, these big corporations would go out of money. The FDA, pharmaceutical industry, all of them, they would go out of business. So they got to keep people sick. And he's right. They just pump you full of stuff, pump you full of vaccines, pump you full of medication. They keep you where you're at, and you just keep going back and they keep getting paid. So that really needs to end.
But I would love to see him disappear altogether anyway. I understand, but I think it'll be harder than he's thinking to get rid of that unless you have the Senate and the House to help pass that regulation. You're pretty much relying on people that have a vested interest too. It's more than just big pharma. You're talking about people that have been paid by big pharma that are in Congress and in the Senate that are willing to pass, just like when they have they pass a law, insider trading kind of thing. It's the same thing, except they're not calling it that. They're getting kickbacks, they're getting payouts, they're getting incentives the same way that
Bailouts.
the doctors are doing it. So it's not like you can just walk in and say, we're done with this and we're going to clear the corruption out from big pharma. You have to kill big pharma in order to do that. And it's almost impossible to stop now, unless you have the ability to put some massive regulations on them and find them. I don't see that happening outside of killing the government agency that deals with them. That's the only way I can see it get done.
Which is interesting to me. Which is interesting to me because, as Bro was talking, it made me recognize that we not only have a military-industrial complex, an entertainment industrial complex, we also have a medical industrial complex, and then we also have what is it? I guess you could say an agricultural industrial complex.
And you have an educational industrial complex.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Like I said, point. It's simply put down separation of corporation and state. That's the only thing that you need to say. We need to separate corporations from the state and all of the money that goes along with it. All the lobbyists, everything needs to go away. You need to separate them completely in a bubble and not let them interact with them other than regulation.
So I have a question. That's going to be tough. I have a question then for the panel. So we both have two. I guess you could say titans of what we're dealing with in terms of those who are endorsing Trump. We have Tulsi from the military standpoint, who could possibly break down the military-industrial complex, and then we have RFK, who could possibly break down the medical-industrial complex. Do you think that they have the possibility to do that?
I would like to see him as a Department of Human Services. Like
I was about to say,
yeah. I can personally see them doing it because they know the corruption. I could see them going in and just dissecting it all down. But one thing when it comes to like the medical side, the FDA and the pharmaceutical side, a lot of that has to do with big oil too.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of foreign oil and big oil and you keep that here, the president can make regulations. If you're drilling here, none of that stuff goes inside our medication. So, if we can do that, because that is probably one of the big things that are causing a lot of these illnesses is petroleum in our medications.
Yep. You make a good point. One other thing is me and my wife did an experiment one day. People do not realize how big pharma is. You sit down on a Sunday and watch the TV for 5 or 6 hours. Fully 50% of those commercials are going to be ads for pharmaceutical drugs. It is amazing. And it kind of just goes over people's head. But the fact is, watch a football game and see how many of those advertisements are for pharmaceuticals or anything. Just watch the TV where there are maybe high net worth people watching it or whatever, union workers or whatever. You're going to see the bulk of those commercials. Even these new news shows are going to be pharmaceutical ads.
Yep. You know what I find funny is that if you were to sell any other product, and I mean any other product, the way they sell pharmaceuticals, you'd never buy them.
Yeah.
Like you would never, if half your commercial or more are the side effects or the trouble with
with the crazy disclaimers at the end.
This car is
diarrhea, death.
Buy this car. If you buy this car, you'll get a flat tire, busted engine, windshields are going to crack, and the spark plugs are going to blow up, and you will have the worst ride of your life. But you can have it for $100 today.
And it's and when it comes to pharmaceutical, we always think about things we ingest. These poisons are in everything from the stuff we put on our skin to the eye drops to the ear drops. I mean, you think about it. Petroleum and big pharma has their hand in it. There's some type of poison in it. This is why the big pharma was created, to get rid of natural ways of healing. They made natural ways at some point illegal. If you were out here creating natural remedies, which they used in long ago before we had medication, they made that stuff illegal so they can poison the society to keep the society sick. A sick society gets us paid.
It's true. And here's the thing that I don't know if you guys are tracking, but the people that make Roundup just bought the company that produces the cancer treatment drug for Roundup.
Of course.
That makes sense. They're going to round up the cancer. Duh.
Yeah. So the cancer you get from using Roundup is now also used by the same company to make the cancer treatment. So you're welcome.
Ain't that funny?
To go back to your decision from Friday, both you and Nicole Shanahan, your running mate, have talked about how you feel like the Democrats completely mistreated you, excluded you from the process. How much of your decision Friday is about revenge or motivated by punishing Democrats in some way?
Zero. I don't act in anything in my life. I don't act out of anger or revenge or resentment. It's a bad motivation. It's like swallowing poison and hoping someone else will die. And so I don't do it. I am very pragmatic and practical, and I am focused on one thing, which is how do we restore health for our children? And that touches many, many other issues. How do we regenerate our soils in this country? How do we protect small family farmers? The incentives are all going to commodity agriculture, and that's what is feeding this chronic disease epidemic.
Like you said,
the processed foods that are created by commodity agriculture. So we need to do all of these things at once. Protect small farmers, restore our soils, regenerative agriculture, and to get the corruption out of the federal government and make these agencies do what they were created to do, which is to protect our health and not serve the mercantile interests of the pharmaceutical companies and the processed food industry.
You know what I like about him? He answers the damn question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you ask him, I'll tell you the answer straight off the top. One right,
Easy.
bam, 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 bam. Now, if he was out of shape, obese, and he,
Like
I would understand him not having any kind of a dog in the fight. But the man is healthy. The man takes care of his body. If you've seen him, I don't know how difficult you might not know it is to keep the shape he has. It is not just sit down and once in a while you go to the gym. This man avidly takes care of his diet. So he knows what the value of it is. And he's seeing the decline of children. There are more obese children than there have ever been in the United States, ever. So he's seeing it. And more and more listening, he may not get the CIA headship. He may be put over. He may be put over pharma, man.
See, the United States is the medical subsidy country. We subsidize the cost of healthcare so that other people don't have to pay as much. You realize that, right? Like it's illegal to advertise in any other country except the United States. And we are also the leading charge of medical research, but we're also the leading charge on medical debt because we're the ones paying for all the medical fees so they can stay in business while everybody else in the world gets to get the cheap drugs.
And on his point with the FDA, people keep forgetting to talk about the Chevron, right? What did the Chevron deference do to organizations like the FDA?
Yeah.
It forces them to pull back all their regulations. So this kind of gives more freedom to these non-corrupt pharmaceutical industries that aren't corrupt. Because imagine if you have some type of industry where you create something and then the FDA comes in and tells you, well, you can't only have that because it's too natural. We're not going to allow you to produce it. You have to add this. You have to add these poisons in there. And and since these people want their product to get out there, they're going to do what the FDA says. Now that the Chevron deference passed, and they got rid of it, now these people can do exactly what he's saying. Get this poison out of our food, and it's farmers too. Get it out of our medicine, get it all out of there, and you will start seeing a healthy society build over the next few years. You'll start seeing less of this, less autism, less this. You'll see all of that stuff go away. Start to slowly go away.
The two biggest detrimental crops in the United States are corn and soy.
Yeah.
Soy.
Croy.
Yeah.
This decision is
Hey,
not without
real quick,
personal
Marlon.
cost for you.
Well, how come we're not talking about his running mate? Where do you think she has a place? Do you think he's going to bring her?
I don't know if she does because she's far left.
Okay.
I don't think she will.
But she got money.
Yeah,
it's true.
But don't forget, she's still on the ticket on his side. That's her
Yeah.
purpose, is to draw votes. So I think that's why he's leaving her out of this intentionally.
Okay.
Your own family went to the White House on St. Patrick's Day, took a huge picture with President Biden, made clear who they were supporting. Friday night, your siblings issued this statement. We believe in Harrison Waltz. Our brother Bobby's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear. You posted on X Friday night saying you're grateful to your amazing wife because the decision that you've made is one that she's uncomfortable with. So talk to us about the personal backlash you have.
They're doing it again. They're pushing the wall again.
My family is at the center of the Democratic Party. I have 5 members of my family that are working for the Biden administration. President Biden has a bust of my father behind him at the Oval Office. He's been a family friend for many, many years. And my family is, I understand that they're troubled by my decisions, but, I love my family. I feel like we were raised in a milieu where we were encouraged to debate each other and debate ferociously and passionately about things, but to still love each other. So, they can, they're free to take their positions on these issues. There are many, many members of my family who are working in my campaign, who are supporting me. I have a very big family. There's a few of them that are troubled. But, I think we all need to be able to disagree with each other and still love each other.
Nice. I'm glad he brought that up because it's a great segue to the one of the people that is having a problem with his candidacy. And it's this guy.
He looks like
what
a
I
Kennedy.
do know is his candidacy is an embarrassment.
John F. Kennedy's grandson, not mincing words when it comes to his cousin RFK Jr.'s 2024 run.
He's trading in on Camelot, celebrity, conspiracy theories, and conflict for personal gain and fame. I've listened to him. I know him. I have no idea why anyone thinks he should be president. What I do know is his candidacy is an embarrassment.
Jack Schlossberg took to Instagram to blast Robert F. Kennedy's constant stream of misinformation, and he endorsed Joe Biden in the process. Now, congressional Democrats yesterday grilled RFK Jr. over his controversial statements, spreading vaccine misinformation and his conspiracy theories, claiming the people who are the most immune to COVID-19 are Ashkenazi Jews and the Chinese.
But how is it misinformation when you can't prove him wrong? Just because you say he's giving misinformation does not mean it's misinformation. You prove him wrong, and then you can call him misinformation. I don't.
Well, they do that all the time, where they say something's debunked when it's not really.
These are the same people who are slamming people for COVID misinformation, and then they come out and say, "Oh well, we were wrong. We were wrong." So,
how was that 6 feet apart thing? How did that go?
And for his grandson, JFK's grandson, right? Yeah. I've never even. Who is he? Where did he?
Nobody knew.
Just like Trump's niece. Nobody knows who she was or cares who she was. She's looking for fame. That's all it is.
Well, you know what, guys? The ironic thing is JFK's grandson. If JFK was alive today with his political views, he would be a Republican.
There you go.
He sure
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Yeah. He would be a Republican.
Yeah.
He wouldn't recognize the Democratic Party today.
Nope.
No. He would have slapped the taste out of his grandson's mouth too.
And I think Robert said something alluding to that. He was like, if my dad and my father and my uncle were alive today, as EK said, they wouldn't recognize the party. The party is totally different from the party that they came up in.
Yeah.
Hey, you'd be waiting a very long time.
Yeah.
For that. I wouldn't be holding my breath because there are very few Navy SEALs that could do that. And I don't think many of us are Navy SEAls.
Yeah.
We can't hold our breath that long.
No.
Wall Street Journal has this. They say it's a double-edged sword, essentially, that it may help President Trump to pick up some of your followers if they're willing to go over there. But they warn about what you would do in his administration. They say this: RFK Jr., if he's anywhere near the healthcare or environmental agencies in a Trump administration, look out. Mr. Trump's best response is to thank RFK Jr. for his support, make no promises about the future, and by all means avoid joint campaign appearances. You've already had one. Will you have others? Will you campaign for President Trump?
I'm going to be campaigning actively. I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign. And I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. So those are objectives. The Wall Street Journal may be worried about shareholder value for pharmaceutical companies, and I think I talked specifically to President Trump about that issue, and he said that he wanted to leave as his legacy healthy children, and that that he was unconcerned about the other implications.
And he should be unconcerned. Now, and I like what he said. The reason they're freaking out is they're watching the same way they're mad about Trump. They're watching their money bags disappear. If no wars are there, money income goes away. If pharmaceutical goes away, money income go away.
Yeah.
If they stop bringing in illegal immigrants, that's money off the table as well. So I can see why they hate the two of them, and they hate the combination. The combination is their worst nightmare. They lose all streams of income, and they have no recourse past it. So what do they have to do? They have to be able to throw them as though they're the most sadistic, evil, or brain dead people you could possibly find. And hey, there are going to be stupid people that believe it, though.
The funniest thing I think about this interview is probably right after they cut to commercial, after he was done, it said brought to you by Pfizer. Guaranteed it was the first one.
Oh man,
I believe it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, this whole election, and I'm like, again, people, I have not changed my stance. I do not. This is the more I see, and the more they say that they're going to do, the more I am inclined to believe that they're going to do something to either kill the event of the election or to change it so drastically because of something outside that we won't have one. They cannot afford for people to put their vote in, because if they do, they know what's going to happen with them. They know they're going to lose. They cannot afford to lose.
Yes.
And I don't believe that they're going to be risking it at the ballot box. They'll hit something before the ballot box, so they never have that chance, which means they're not cheating technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to me because, like I said, what you said about the election, I think might be true, because they already tried to take Trump out. That didn't work, and they were going to blame it on Iran. So maybe there's going to be something like a false flag attack from Iran or Russia or something like that.
Yeah, you're right, Rose. They're trying to change the debate already too.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing, and I think we brought it up last episode, is Biden's going to drop out. And I think Coy read September, October. Biden will drop out, make Kamala president. Something big, as Coy stated, it'd be some false flag or something happen in our country to where they have to postpone the elections. Now, how long they postpone it for, who knows? You know, they could say, hey, you know, we got attacked. We can't change out president, and she can be president for 4 years. Those are things people have to watch out for. They're going to get what they want, or they're going to try to get what they want no matter what. But the more we and others like us, other podcasts, other conservative creators, other truthers, other people out there that keep putting out truth, get your emotions out of it, spread truth. Stop replying to these leftists on here that are brainwashing, brain dead, and just continue to push your truth out there, because that's the goal. Who cares what they say? They're going to do what they got to do.
They have an agenda just as anybody else.
Yep.
The difference is here's our biggest problem. I'm going to say it, and people can get mad all they want. The problem that conservatives and people on the right have, we do not stick to our word.
Yeah,
we don't. We are weak. We are easily collapsed. We are foldable. We get butt hurt when they call us names, or we think that we should retaliate to prove that we're not that. I keep telling you, fight their game with their game. If they call you something, tell you what you do, embrace it, and say, what else?
Okay.
Then continue talking, because if you take away their ammunition, all they have is ad hominem. And if you realize all they have is ad hominem, you've taken away every aspect to get you off your game. Stay on your game, say what you got to say, and don't let them control the narrative. If you can do that, and if you say you're going to do something, just like the left, do it. Like this. Okay, so you're in a store. You're wearing your MAGA gear or whatever it is. Somebody walks up to you and says, you better take that off. And you go, just look at them and you would say, but this is a free country. Don't even engage. They know it's a free country. You have two options. Ignore them, let them keep talking, or tell them, well, you try and take it off of me then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know what they go? Try and take it off of you. Then what you do? You take it off. Not your clothes, them. You take them off.
Yep.
Because we have been, the fact is matter, we've been pushed around, and we let people push us around for far too long.
Right.
The left don't play that game. You might call them egotistical or violent. Whatever you call them, they win when they do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to be violent. I'm saying stop being a pushover.
Yeah.
That's our biggest issue. We're pushovers, and we stop being that.
100%. You got to fight fire with fire.
Big time.
I used to work at a refinery, and we would put out fires, believe it or not, with other fire. So that's what you got to do here in this sense. You got to stop being meek, Stop being in the closet. Stop hiding the fact that you support the opposition, because they have no problem throwing it in your face.
That's right.
I'm gonna make one other point. It was interesting and was stated about a third party. Do you guys realize that at least on the Democratic side, and more so even concerning in the future on the Republican side, Obama was the last candidate that would have been elected on the Democratic side by popular vote. Honestly, by true letting the people decide. If you remember in 2020, Bernie Sanders, rightfully so, should have had that nomination.
Yep.
And what happened now? Biden had the nomination and the party power took it from him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that I think that's what we're going to see. No matter who's running, the power structures in that party are going to decide who is going to be the winner. We didn't have that problem with Trump. The people decided with Trump. But again, they're really two sides of the same coin. Sometimes. So just pay attention to that. We may not have a popular candidate chosen by the people anymore, especially on the Democratic side, because they've shown it in the last two.
Right.
That they'll do whatever they need to do to win, and they're going to put the person they think who has the best chance of winning.
And you're right. The mistake they made with Trump is they thought he was going to be a scarecrow. He thought he was going to be easy to knock down and they were going to win handedly. The problem is that he didn't. He wasn't a scarecrow. He was a steel man, and they couldn't push him over. And that was the problem, is that he wasn't supposed to win. That's this whole thing that's been up to now, and this whole saga is that he was never supposed to win. The people were never supposed to be able to vote who they actually wanted in.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, guys?
Yeah, and just for the people on the right, especially if you're a creator of some sort, stop going after each other for personal reasons. Stick to the message. You see it a lot on the right. This creator wants to do better than this creator. Everything's about clicks and likes and follows and all this other superficial crap that doesn't mean nothing.
I've never understood that.
It's about the message. Get the message out there. Stop attacking other creators on the right who don't totally align with you, in your ideology, because I don't align with a lot of people on the right, totally 100%. Stick to the message about putting this country first, getting our country fixed, getting rid of all the corruption, and putting money back in the American people's pockets. That's the goal. Too many people want to be the best or the biggest or this or give me this follows and this and grifting and all this other crap. Stop focusing on that.
Yeah, that's 100%. Because again, if everybody realistically be grown up, you don't agree with anybody 100%. Nope. Even yourself, because sometimes you change your mind on your views. So it makes no sense. I don't agree with my wife, my kids, my mom, nobody 100%. The trick is, do you agree with this guy 50, 60, 70% as opposed to this other person that's 5% of the time? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yep. Great.
I would venture to say that if we're going to be people on the right who stand on business, as the kids are saying, I don't think there's going to be a fight for unity. I think we abandoned that pipe dream, and we recognize that a fight for unity is pacifistic. And if we're going to stand on business and we're not going to be afraid to wear the MAGA gear or the Maha gear or whatever the case might be, then unity with the left is a pipe dream. And for us to continue to pursue that, I think we kid ourselves.
I don't think it's the unity thing. I think it's the establishment versus the populace. We are in a people's, not to use the communist words, but we're in a people's revolution, right? We're at people that are getting sick and tired of the people running the show telling us what we have to can and cannot do. And that's what we're actually seeing, is people starting to be pulled out of the daydream. They're starting to actually see the way that things really are and what these people actually think of you. So the Democrats, the mask has fallen off completely, and we see them for what they actually are. The people that are still all for the Democrats were never going to come to our side to begin with. All the people that were moderates that we were actually going to be able to convince are already starting to head this way. We just have to keep with the policy and keep showing them exactly who these people are, who the establishment is, what they're trying to do, that why they're making you sick, why the corporations are controlling everything. All that stuff is all the populist things we have to keep pushing.
Right. I agree.
This is going to end up being I think a massive game changer in the layout of the landscape for the voting pool. I do hope it is successful in drawing votes away from the Democrats. even if it doesn't go to the Republican Party. I hope that it draws votes away, because what that's going to do is going to make it a very difficult road for them to manipulate the end result, if you know what I mean, without me saying what would get us banned. This is an easy way for them to remove the manipulation portion out of their tactic and kind of leave. They're spread too thin at this moment to do anything about it. The third party option is going to make sure that they play at least a clean game for the most part.
Yeah.
When on Wednesday we have a very special, very, very special edition. There is a dude going around on TikTok right now and multiple other platforms. He's going viral for all the wrong reasons, and we've covered him before, and he's quite the cancer. One of the most, if hoarding, the worst hoarding case in the house ever had a smell to become a mascot, it would be him. If hoarding had a mascot because of the stench of houses, this would be him.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about him because, well, one, it's hilarious, but two, the meltdown and follow up after that. And when you see the person he is, you'll understand. By the way, for people who came in late, our guest is Mr. EK. I invited him on. He is on TikTok. You can find him there under EK, just E and K. And you'll see it's a nice little symbol, little logo with an E, small key, and a small K.
There you go.
An amazing mind.
The EK stands for improve culture.
There
with a
you
play
go.
with the E for improve and a K for culture, guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
But he's a brilliant mind. That's why I wanted him on, because he's a matured adult, and he grew up in a time where the ones who did grow up in that time have lost their marbles. He kept his. So that's why we wanted him on. But we will be back Wednesday to talk about Jolly Ginger. And trust me, it'll partially be a roasting session, but also insight into exactly how the left actually functions when you see them bare their real selves.
Yeah.
And then Friday, I'm not sure yet, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Too Strong will be live in an hour and 27 minutes. No, in 27. No, yes, it's 57 minutes. 5:30 is when we'll be live. So make sure you come over there. We'll be talking about Oprah and her DNC appearance. So make sure you all tune into that.
You know the thing about Oprah, guys, but before I go, I want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on the panel. I really appreciate it. Much respect to everybody there. Look into it. Oprah wrote a letter, and you guys may or may not be aware of this. I want to say probably 20 years ago, where she begged Donald Trump to run for president.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, we know about that one, yeah.
She had him on to do that, too. Yeah.
So thank you so much. I
run
appreciate it.
Very well.
Not only that, but run together even.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Yes.
All three of them, her and him and her two sizes. So
you told Harpo to hit me.
She is two vice presidents in one, both in personality and size. So we'll talk about her tonight, and we'll see you guys in the morning for Straight Talk. Other than that, so Mr. Lee,
like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all Monday to Wednesday.
Wednesday. Peace. Later.
Or.